Just waiting for a few more participants to join, and I will introduce you, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll introduce you, and the idea being that we will. Okay, so idea being that we will have a small introduction, and then we will request your experiences be shared with the audience for about 30 minutes. And then we will take questions from the audience. And I would also give some questions for our discussion. And we'll wind up within an hour. So that's the that's how we will
Wonderful,
do it,
wonderful.
so,
Yeah, I'm ready.
Right. So just waiting for a couple more people to join, and then I'll start.
All right. Take your time. I want to, before you start, there was a little error in my printing. Are you with me?
Sir. Yes, I'm here, sir.
My age on commissioning is 20 and a half and not 19 and a half. You know, in school also my mathematics was very poor. And a friend of mine, I was told by Adarsh, Deepak Berry, who called up, and we were in the same class, and mathematics used to be a punishment lesson for us, always. So please say for 19 and a half, read as 20 and a half. Huh? Okay, sorry for the error.
No worries, sir.
I was still very young that time. I was still very young that time.
I recall my days. I got commissioned at the age of 21, so 6 months later. But you got a lot of experience at that age, when most people.
I was the youngest on the course.
Right. In fact, I was the youngest in my course.
Wonderful.
That's interesting.
Wonderful. That makes two of us.
Right, sir.
And I went into battlefront.
Sir. So I'll pass the baton on to you. So we do have a participant joining. So Jai Hind, good evening, good morning to different participants depending on their geographical location. Thank you for joining in. We do have Colonel Pradeep with us. He's, as we were just speaking about, we do have the introduction in this invite, but a high-level introduction once again. He was commissioned as the youngest in his course. In the military, we have our academies where we go through our trainings, and he was youngest to be commissioned. And not only youngest to be commissioned, but put right into the battle field against China during that time. And he comes with a vast exposure. And we certainly have invited him to share his experiences, one. Secondly, share the perspective that those experiences can help us in the current geopolitical situation, how India is emerging, and what are the implications that military, and especially the experiences that he has had, can help us ward off the situations that we can get into, and also grow out from there. With that, sir, I would request you to walk us through your journey and the unique experiences that are not only relevant to yourself, which we would certainly like to hear, but also would relevant to the current times, the contemporary. Welcome, sir. Over to you.
Jai Hind, Vande Mataram. Good evening, good morning, namaskar everywhere, wherever you are. God bless you for joining us. My name is Pradeep Goyal. I was commissioned in the army, as you were told, and I will try and make it very interesting for you as we move on. Just to give you an insight, I was commissioned in Madras during the hottest part of the year. The temperatures were soaring at about 38, 40 degrees. From there, my first posting was at Nathula. Short of Nathula, incidentally, to begin with. In the high altitudes of Sikkim, in the snowbound areas, in minus temperatures. So you can imagine from 38 degrees or 40 degrees straight away to the white mountains with a lot of snow and low temperatures. Well, we had to acclimatize, as you would know, most of you would know, when you're going to the mountains, you have to acclimatize. And we had 3 staging camps. Went through them. Each camp was very interesting. And from the second camp, we had to walk up about 2 hours and then come back 2 hours. That was the exercise to get used to the rarefied oxygen. Finally, I moved to my unit location where I was welcomed and inducted into the battalion, and our training and orientation started. I was quite excited that we are opposite the Chinese, because where I lived when I was brought up, we had a Chinese shoemaker in our building. So my impression of the Chinese was that they are a very friendly lot of people, and they love good cuisine and eat a lot, and they talk differently. Soon from the first location, with the onset of winters, we were moved to the forward areas, where I was in the Natula garrison. Though I had a company commander who was initially the garrison commander at the Natula complex, but for some reason he had to go away. So I was given the command of Natula garrison as the youngest ever second lieutenant. You don't have second lieutenants in the Indian Army anymore now. So I was a young second lieutenant with hardly any experience, and say just about 6 months or so. And I was entrusted the command of a very, very sensitive location. That's Natula. You perhaps have heard the name. Then it was a very live, hypersensitive location. Today it turns out to be a tourist attraction. See the dichotomy of times as to how from eyeball enemies you become friends only on the facial value. Even then, now let me take you through Natula, my experiences there. It was snowbound, white absolutely, and morning till evening we used to go through the hearing the Chinese propaganda on the loudspeakers. I think there were, if I remember correctly, about 30, 40 of them mounted on huge mounts, and the music from Peking used to play there. Typical Chinese music, and of course the Chinese propaganda in their own language is also in Hindi, and they used to address us as the भारतीय सेना के अधिकारी हो, तुमको भेड़ बकरी की तरह मार दिया जाएगा, and blah 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 blah. They were trying to unnerve us and try and demotivate us. I can assure you that being from Gurkha regiment, the Gurkha soldiers don't get unnerved by all this nitty-gritties of psychological warfare. As Sam Bahadur said, if there is anyone who's not scared, it's a Gurkha. Or if it's somebody else who says, I'm not scared, he's telling a lie. With that, I must share with you that perhaps you're all aware of the fact that the entire conflict between India and China and on the Sikkim border, on the northeastern border, was on the McMahon line drawn by the Britishers, where they left a bone of contention for us. It was just demarcated by a strand of wire, which became the fighting point between the two countries. And there was that old, when Nehru visited in 1956 on the Silk Route, was placed on the Silk Route, and leads into the Chumbi Valley. There was a stone that was made there with the name of P.T. Namgyal. He was the king of Sikkim, that time emperor of Sikkim. And Palden Thant of Namgyal. And Nehru's name is there on that stone. It doesn't. I don't know if it exists there not now, but it was very much there. And along that stone on the watershed ran the barbed wire, the total bone of contention. And incidentally, it ran through all the passes in Sikkim. From the east, that is Jalipla to Nathula to Yakla to Vaisala to Chola and so on. These are all the passes there which were manned by the Indian Army. Now, on the at the Nathula on the barbed wire, I used to go there every morning at a fixed time. That was around 10 o'clock after breakfast. And my counterpart from the other side, the political commissar, the Chinese officer, would appear. And we exchanged cigarettes. I gave him nice cigarettes and he gave me the horrible cigarettes of China. But to be a good friend, I had to, accept it with a smile. But as time passed, they gave us warnings also. But being friendly with the political commissar there, I had the privilege of talking to him every day. And one day he even told me that you're a good man. You're in broken English, he says, your photo in Peking Gallery. Now, I didn't really know how he got my photo into the Peking Gallery. But he used to invite me across the barbed wire. I said, no. I tell myself, no, I can't go there. Actually, I don't know what he's going to do with me. But the Chinese soldiers would come up, and the moment they saw anyone else on our picket appearing in the open, they would just run away. Now, today's scenario, if you notice, is totally different. Today, they are confronting you in eastern Ladakh. There, that time, they used to shy away. There's a lot of changes. Why shy away? Because for various many reasons. There were occasions when our commanders used to visit and they used to get panicky. The Chinese used to get panicky. And once they left, I was told by the political commissar on the other side that, well, keep these people away for whatever reason. Now, one incident I must narrate to you is I was in my command post and their command post was just about 10 feet away, eyeball distance. Now, we had the intelligence people also with us. My Johnny told me, intelligence Johnny, साहब उधर में वो nail polish दिखाई दे रहा है. So I had a closer look and I could see some long nails which were polished. That's all that I could see, nothing else. So the next moment I had to immediately inform the higher ups. And mind you, there was a flurry of activities. What are women doing there? And the first visitor was my CO, then the brigade commander, then the fifth commander, and so on and so on. But they couldn't see anything. So they said, either you got high altitude disease or whatever it is, altitude. But my intelligence fellow, he said, I counted nails. So we had to be on a vigil to identify what it was. Finally, I asked the political commissar on the other side. So he quietly told me in a hushed down voice that it was a female officer. Well, there you are. So I disclosed that to the brigade commander and to my CO. They said we would like to meet her, and I like to meet the brigade, the commissar, which was not possible. Anyways, so that was as far as Nathula is concerned. I also had a little doggy with me there, a Tibetan Apso. I named it Tashi. This was my guide during the night patrolling and whenever we had heavy blizzards. I had to go to my other localities in the sector. Incidentally, I carried that doggy with me right up to the 1971 War of Liberation also. They were, we were together till I lost this doggy during the prisoner of war train, which I was bringing. I'll talk about that a little later. Now, from Nathula, we had a limited tenure there because of the sensitivity of the area and the tensions throughout the day, year, day, morning, night, etc. So we were pulled back and given a little different location. And then, of course, as time passed, we moved down and moved to a peace location where we were told that on the 14th of August, our Army Commander General Bhagat was there at the Institute for a party on the Independence Eve. And later in the night, around midnight, he asked all the officers to go into the hall. And all doors and windows were locked, and all the waiters and others were told to leave. There he made a very brief announcement. Gentlemen, your rolling stock will arrive very shortly. We are moving. Now, we didn't know where we are going. So anyway, the preparations started, and we were getting ready and stocking up and getting the weapons ready. And as per the standard operating procedures, all our equipment and other things, logistics, had to be tied up, and not to forget the families. We had to cater for the families' safety when we were away, as also some of our men who would stay back. And lo and behold, before we knew what has happened is, we were told our movement has started now. So your train is going to be available on date so and so. So, well, I think if I remember correctly, it was around the 23rd of September, 23rd of August, that the trains were lined up at marshaled at Kanpur railway station, and we moved from there to the east, little knowing where we are going to halt. Finally, we halted at a place called Panagar. And knowing that the operations in Bangladesh are going to be in a watery area because of the floods at that particular time of the year, monsoon. So we had to do a lot of watermanship training through the rivers and through water. So there was this Ajoy River between Shantiniketan and near Shantiniketan. You all might know Rabindranath Tagore's he had established Shantiniketan, and in the Bolpur district of West Bengal. So we trained there for some time till finally we moved, and we moved by road to the Nodia district in West Bengal, to a place called Krishna Nagar. Concentrated there and got used to the area, got familiarized with the terrain. Now this was on our own side of the border. The border was still away. So we celebrated Dashera there at Krishna Nagar. And let me share with you that the flood waters had started receding, and they left behind a lot of carcasses, animal carcasses, and a lot of stench, and all that you can think about after a flood, what happens. So the battalion was, all the battalions were very, busy cleansing the area and getting used to the area and getting ready in preparations. In the meantime, we were also told to move forward on patrolling. So we had limited patrolling then, and finally we got the orders to move forward. This was a total forward posture, and as we moved ahead, we were camped at a place called Majdia in West Bengal, near Kishanganj. Now here is a very interesting thing that used to happen there. I was the mortar officer. I hope you all understand what is a mortar officer. Like you have the artillery in the artillery regiments, the heavy artillery, the medium guns, the field guns, and light guns, and all that. In the infantry battalion, you have mortars, the 81 millimeter mortars, which are controlled by an officer. I was entrusted that job. And I was delighted to have been entrusted because, incidentally, I had never done the course. Yet, the commanding officer and the higher-ups bestowed so much of responsibility and faith in me that They found me to be fitter than those who had done the course. Well, I delivered. Now, the trains used to come from West Bengal, from Ranaghat, Naihati, and go up to the border town of Gede. Gede. It is opposite the Pakistani, that time East Pakistani township, big town of Darsana. Now, Darsana will figure in our attacks if you register this name very carefully. So Darsana had also the brewery of the Britishers established, the high and dry, the Carew's brewery there. So our intelligence had told us that there's a lovely brewery there. A lot of activity goes on and trains also come there. Now, incidentally, there was a track between Darsana and Gede also connecting the two countries, but that was dormant. It was not used because of conflict. So here, coming back to what I used to do as the motor officer, is all the trains that moved ahead of Matstia were controlled by us. And the trains that moved in the afternoon were under my command. I had to give them a note to say that, yes, you will start. Now, in that, I used to carry my motor platoon and the munitions and everything in my boys. Incidentally, we used to travel in the last boat. This was because on the way, we were told that there might be a lot of mining of the tracks and all that. So they said, as per the safety regulations, the last bogie is the safest. The engine and the first couple of bogies are the ones that upturn after they get thrown off after the mines blast. So we travel in the last boat. They were always reserved for us. So I would reach Gede later in the afternoon, set up my motor platoon, wait for the dark sun to set. And the moment the sun would set, the orders were given. I used to give the orders. If you are all aware about how the orders are given, I'll just tell you very briefly. I devised my own short orders. I had registered the targets on silent method, which I'd learned from the artillery. I'm grateful to them. To 38 medium when we were in Sikkim. It's called the datum point ranging. It's based on the Met and your own intelligence. So I used to do that, and invariably it worked out to be accurate, thanks to the artillery again. To 38 medium particularly. Now, so we used to put our motors in some concealed areas. And the moment we found that it's time now, the darkness is set in, the orders were given to fire. We never fired slow. We were always on rapid fire to harass the enemy. Mark my words, East Pakistan was the enemy that time. They are still above. So the targets were Darsana, Utali, and the neighboring areas. So every day we used to do that, and in the morning I used to return from Gede in the morning train, which came back from there. Not khali hat, I never came back empty-handed, because there were a lot of these Bangladeshi. That time it wasn't Bangladesh; it was East Pakistan. The fishermen who would, collect there at Gede to take their catch in baskets. It was all piled up in baskets to a place called Ranaghat, selling in the market. I used to pick up a full basket of approximately about 10 to 15 sears of giant prawns or fish, whatever was available every morning, just for 5 rupees. 5 rupees, I repeat. Imagine the poverty that time because of the conflict and because of the Pakistani actions. And so they were prepared to give that for 5 rupees and return home rather than travel all the way to Ranaghat. So come back, and at Majdia, we used to detrain and give the fish or the prawns and the lobsters to our cook, Sundar Dai. We remember him, God bless his soul, wherever he is. And he would cook all that for the officers. And again, they would say, okay, you're going tomorrow morning again, get something. So there you are. I had plenty of jobs to do in addition to firing of the Pakistan. One day, when at about night, at about, say, I think it was about 9:30, 10 o'clock, I was in the middle of firing on the Pakistanis. They counter bombarded us very heavily. We had one of our companies there, detachment there with Major Rawat as the company. And incidentally, just before that, I had asked one of my Mukti Bahini volunteers, Havildar Ghafoor, and his team to go into East Pakistan, a little deep, carry out some tasks. And just as a confirmatory that they have gone there and done that task, because we had to do that, I gave them the task of bringing some fish from Uthali. Uthali was near Darsana, a little further. That was to make sure that they had completed their task of like blowing up some culverts or creating nuisance there and firing here and carrying out explosions there and all that. So while I was in the middle of receiving fire from the Pakistanis, heavy shelling, Ghafoor turns up with a plate in his hand and he says, "Sahab, hum yahi gache. Ekta ilish ache, khave na." I said, "Abhi to kidhar khayega? Abhi to itna bombardment ho raha hai, to mar jayega." Then nahi, hum marega nahi. Tu bhi nahi marega. Here you are. Believe you me, I tasted that one piece of fish which they had cooked and I was on fire. My system was on fire. And we asked him to put it there in the barracks where we spend the night. We asked my orderly at night, Uday Bahadur, to wash it a couple of times. Even then, the chilies were very, 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 very hot. So that was as far as this day and firing and all that was concerned. Now, this carried on for some time, and as the time passed, come November now, on the 9th of November, if I remember correctly, or the 8th of November, 1971, I was with my men in an orchard right next to the battalion headquarters when the adjutant sent a word for me, and I went to meet the CO and he said, "Pradeep, you have been selected, nominated for a raid across the border. It's going to be the first ever Indian Army surgical strike across border." For a moment, it didn't sink. Thinking, what exactly is this cross-border raid? I had studied that in the academy also, but never experienced anything of that nature. So I came back and I asked my very reliable soldier, Naik Durga Bahadur. At the moment I said, Durge, I asked him, Gurkhali what is going to happen in this? So he got into a deep thought and he said, "Sahab, mujhe bhi nahi malum." Here you are. Now, Durga Bahadur is one whom I had selected to go with me in this raid. And he was also as blank as I was. Gradually, I selected the other 10 men that I was supposed to do. They were all novices to this particular operation. Then came our raid commander, nominated officer, Major so-and-so. And we were quarantined in that orchard, not allowed to move, not allowed to meet anyone. And there was a spate of briefings that took place. A SAN model was made for us. You understand what SAN model is. On the ground, depicting the area where we're supposed to go. A lot of briefings took place, and then we understood exactly as to what we were supposed to do. Now, the question always arose, why this raid? So after many, many years also, when I analyzed this, the tactical value of this raid was very high. It led to the planning of commanders. You see, the top commander had planned based on the maxim of race to Dhaka. The maxim that was given by the army commander and the chief that time, General Sham Manito, was race to Dhaka. The earliest you go, the earlier they surrender, the earlier we liberate Bangladesh. So, well, based on that, raid commander, the importance of this particular place called Dhaka. Now, the location is about 18 kilometers inside. It's north of Darsana. Mark my words, north of Darsana. Now, Darsana again was a very fortified area, and so was Srinagar, just south of Darsana. So the corps commander wanted to bypass these three places and maybe reach Dhaka within about 7 days' time or less than that. It would have been possible if Darsana had been neutralized or was not so well fortified. So after a number of briefings, final briefing by the corps commander, General Raina, what he said, I cannot repeat. Well, one word I can tell you is out there. He said, God be with you. Don't get captured. If you die, we disown your body. So the war had not started then. So 12th October, 12th September, 12th November night, 12th September night, we concentrated and I climbed into my truck along with my men. We had also got a posse of some 150, 160 Mukti Bahini volunteers to make a lot of noise. And they were given weapons, but we were not expecting them. So these 10 men from my Gurkha Paltan, select men, self and the raid party commander, no names here, was he got into a smaller vehicle, sorry, and I got into my Tata Mercedes Benz, which had been my home for a long time, on detachment also. The driver was one Keralite. I can never forget his name, Luis. So as we sat and the gari, and started moving, it started raining heavily. It came down, it was pouring. There was a lot of mist coming inside the windscreen, so I did my part of, trying to clear it up with my left. So I cut my thumb on the little blade that all these drivers are fond of sticking into the rubber. So I said, Louis, ye kya kiya tune? Mera to ungli mein cut kiya. He gave me a little bandage and he said, Saab, bada acha ho gaya, tera khoon idhar ho gaya. Udhar goli ke upar tera naam nahi likha hai isko. Tu वापस आएगा और मैं तेरे को रसीद दूंगा. चलो, इसे हमारा केरला में ऐसे ही बोलते हैं, खून हो गया तो अब हो गया, एक ही बार होता है, बार-बार नहीं होता है. Anyway, we dismounted at the given place and grouped up, and we were led by so-and-so, the raid party commander and navigators and all that. And we moved with radio silence. Radio silence as well, our radio sets are off. Only at a given time can we switch it on. It was a pitch dark night, raining, and we moved with stealth to surprise the enemy. Purpose was to carry out damage, casualties, and bring prisoners of war, to neutralize this location, to ease out the commander's view of the plan of a faster, swifter attack. When we moved, we kept moving and kept moving and kept moving forward. We must have passed through the minefield also without getting hurt. Must have hit the safe lane. You see, the minefields also have a safe lane for their own patrols also. And we got close to the forward defense locality. We were supposed to halt much earlier, but nothing came in our way. So we went very, 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 very close to them. And here we came across some mud houses. between the FDL, between the forward defense localities of Pakistan and us. This was the 24th Frontier Force, which had occupied Dhaka. Now, all of a sudden, they opened up with whatever arsenal they had. Believe you me, it was unimaginable, the quantum of fire that came down on us. But fortunately, we were so close, so very, very close, that the fire for effect was not there. It was going over us. It went on the sides. There were casualties. Now here, within a minute of the firing, Captain Mustafizur Rahman, who was the one of the volunteers, Bangladeshi Mukti Bahini volunteers, he comes to me and he says, Captain Sahab, mera kaam ho gaya. I said, kaam ho gaya to bada acha ho gaya. I didn't know the meaning. He then showed me his stomach had been hit by an MMG burst. And so I had to organize his evacuation. I got 4 of my boys to put their self-loading rifles and their rain capes on that and tie it up with the toggle rope, make a makeshift stretcher. He was carried away to safety. Incidentally, dear listeners, Mustafizur Rahman survived, was given one of the highest awards of Bangladesh after liberation, and he went on to become Chief of the Army Staff of Bangladesh later. Of course, he got into a lot of controversies because of the political military scenario in Bangladesh, which I don't think I'll. We also had a few more casualties, and I had a young Lieutenant Wahab with me, also of the Mukti Bahini, and a few more. Incidentally, I met Wahab when in 2017 we went to Bangladesh on the invitation to take part in the Victory Day celebrations as state guests. I met Wahab in the president of Bangladesh had thrown a reception for us. That is where I met him. And I met a few more, even in the Dhaka club. There was one who turned out, and name is Nobirul Islam. He was in my training camp in Banpur. It was a secret camp. And he comes up and tells me, he's the one who recognized me. I didn't recognize him. He had a nice, long, whitish beard and what have you. He hugged me very, like a bear, and told everybody that here's the man who taught me how to use explosives. Well, I must have taught him because of his explosives knowledge and his activities. He was given a decoration by the monarch. Well, I'm grateful to Nobirul Islam for recognizing me and greeting me so warmly and introducing me to all the people there at the Dhaka club during the reception.
Sir, sorry to break your chain of thought. This is so engrossing that I myself looked at my watch and did not interrupt you. But we are now 10 minutes over. I was thinking that we will get to hear your experience for about 30 minutes and then remaining 30 minutes. So we are, if I may request you to wind up, I'm sure that you will have to speak again for the questions that will come. So
I will wind up the cross-border operation very quickly now.
Sure.
After that, I'll take all the questions. So we came under heavy fire from Indo-Pak, and the casualties were there. Evacuation took place, and everything was. The Mukti Bahini was shouting "Joy Bangla, Joy Bangla," and well, that is it. And we got orders to withdraw. In a raid, you go there, you inflict damage, and you come back. Now, this is the point of time when the raid commander had disappeared. I don't know where he went. He might have died. He might have been taken prisoner, or he might have been injured. So I had to take command of the raid party and regroup them. My 10 men were not 10 men anymore. They were only 6 men. And the Mukti Bahini, when I told them to withdraw, they refused. They said, we have won Indo-Pak and we will keep Indo-Pak with us and we will not leave it. With great difficulty, I had to convince them that, well, it's not done. You have to back and we'll get Dhaka. So we started withdrawing, and that is the time the daylight broke. And this is the most dangerous part in a pullback, because you're visible to everyone who wants to look for you. Now, the Pakistanis came out with their jeeps with their heavy machine guns and mounted on that and started strafing. I had to get my boys to spread out almost about 80 yards, 100 yards apart, and we hit a marsh, heavy marsh. Through reeds, we waded through and got back. Now, here, Louis was standing there with his open arms, dark black man. I could only see his teeth and recognize him. And he first gave me a bear hug, and he said, "Saab, dekh, main bola tha tu jinda aayega." Fine. Now, a little analysis for you of this. I failed to understand why the Pakistanis did not use their air force to neutralize us. We were sitting ducks. This is a huge question, whichever I get a chance to ask the Pakistanis, I would love to do it. You see, the airfield at Loegaon was just about under 2 minutes of flying distance from where Loegaon's Dhaka. It's just under 2 minutes. If they scrambled even 2 of their Sabre jets, I wouldn't have been talking to you today. That is as far as Dhaka is concerned. And there's much more. Much more. Now, as Himanshu said, I will take on the questions now.
Thank you, sir. As I said, very engrossing. In fact, as you were speaking, again, from a military standpoint, I was able to put myself in there and could visualize as to what you have must have been going through at that time. So thank you. Your
voice is breaking, Himanshu. I can't hear you. Your voice is breaking.
Can you hear me now? Hello? Hello?
Yes. Who's that? Who's that, please? Who's that?
This is Himanshu, sir.
Himanshu, you okay now?
Okay. Now, yeah. I said very lively, very engrossing. So thank you so much. With that, again, constraints of time and the participants here. I would request the participants to raise their hand, and then I would call out so that you can ask Colonel Pradeep the questions, which could be military in nature, and also any implications that you see in the contemporary world or the times. I'll pause for a moment and see who would have a question.
Okay.
While we are waiting for any questions from anyone, you said, I'll start on a very lighter note. You said 5 rupees you got all that fish and seafood. What was the salary at that time?
Whose salary?
Your salary.
Oh, I started with, in 1968, I started with 432 rupees. 432 was the start salary. My first posting to Sikkim gave me 792. No, 972. See, I'm bad at maths even now. 972 with all the allowances.
You enrolled. Yes, you enrolled as a soldier, not as a statistician or a mathematician. So I think you did very, very well.
No, I did a lot of front rolls also. Rolling, sure. Front roll, everything.
Sure. So again, I'm yet to hear any question from anyone.
Yes.
Again, I'll invite the audience to ask in case somebody has a question. This is the real foot on the ground soldier speaking. So the real scenarios that you're hearing, it's not anyways made up or anyways disconnected to the reality. So I'm sure that there are a lot of opportunities for us to learn. As a veteran myself, I certainly can see the implications right now. So let me take that feedback, sir. You said the Chinese, you had some experiences. They are jovial people. They are good. The shoe guy that you had met. But when you think about that and consider what is happening right now from all the media focus on China and Chinese, how do you see, considering your experiences, how do you see these people? We generally, again, I'm talking about the Indian military, we are in your face. It is what it is. But how do you see Chinese? And also recently I heard someplace I was reading that Chinese one-child policy has also psychologically affected the mental makeup of the people there, and those people will ultimately end up becoming the soldiers. So how do you see that affecting the military landscape if the war has to happen, if a skirmish has to happen, if an ambush has to happen? How do you see Chinese soldiers faring in front of the Indian soldiers?
A very, very relevant question, Himanshu. Very relevant point. You see, the socio-political and the military scenario today in China is very different. Now, getting back to it from the one-child norm, there's biological suppression with a one-child norm. There's a lot of frustration. And the product that comes to the army, the PLA, they've had to have a kind of conscription, as we've seen in Galwan. They've also been branded as the noodle soldiers. Earlier days, they had a lot of pork and beef to eat. Now I think they've got more of noodle. And the soldiering today is without weapon as they are going. In Galwan, as you can see, it was more of a wrestling match than anything else, with weapons other than the firing weapons. There was no trigger. All those matches, machetes and dandas and all that nonsense. So this is more of a political and a gundagardi, if I may say so, as far as Galwan is concerned. But I'm not very. I won't call myself an expert on the Chinese scenario today, to be very honest, because the internal scenario in China is different. And the soldier today is not what he was earlier. The dedication of the noodle soldiers is there for that X number of years, and they want to go back, get married, and produce children. Now, what is their actual background? I'm not really aware of that. But how the Indian Army has handled that is absolutely wonderful. Paid them back in a heavier coin. And this all goes for a credit. The credit goes to the leadership in Delhi, who gave a free hand as compared to what we used to have. For every little thing, we had to call up Delhi and say, can we do this? Today, he said, you do it and tell me later. There is a difference. So the Indian Army today does not have to consult Delhi before doing anything. There is a lot of liberty, as far as I can see. The man on the ground, the commander on the ground, has got the liberty to react, to address the situation. In our days, it was different. We had to, because of the political policies, we had to stand back and maybe bend over a little bit.
Got it. Sir, we do have two questions come up from Kamlesh ji. Kamlesh ji, if you would like to speak, please, you can ask your questions.
Yeah. My voice is audible?
Yes, please.
Okay. My first question is, as military people, do you have a map where you show the McMahon line?
Oh, yes, I can show it to you.
Yeah.
I can show it to you. Yes.
Good that question. Means the government of India has it.
Sorry?
That means if you have it, that means the government of India, in the original map at the time of 1947, did they have the McMahon line clearly?
Yes, they had that. I will show you a slide on that. Give me a moment, please.
Okay.
So we have
I haven't got it ready, but
No, as far as you know that it is there.
No,
Now,
it is there. I'll show it to you. I have it here somewhere. It's a wonderful question that you asked. So I must try and satisfy you, madam. How old are you? Or how young are you? How young are you? How
I'm
young
older
are you?
than you are.
No, how young are you?
No, you old is fine.
Oh.
I'm older than you are. Much.
Oh, must be. I can make out. Now in this, I don't know if you can make out in this slide here. Yeah, this one. Can you see this?
I can see, but the line is not visible.
No, because this is very small. Can you see a shaded line?
Yeah.
You can see a shaded line?
Yeah.
Okay. Now,
that is a line?
Yes, that is the wire.
And how far does it extend from east to west?
It goes right from east to west along the mountain watershed.
No. The point to point, one point in the east to west. What is
from east?
Where does it begin and where does it end?
You see, geographically, McMahon laid it from might have been from Arunachal and down to the west, wherever it ends, actually, right up to Ladakh. Aksai Chin, which has gone across now, I'm not very sure about it, so I'm not going to commit myself. I'm not aware actually how far it runs, but it runs all along the Indo-China border, along the watershed of the mountains. That was the point which he had taken as demarcation, because he could not measure anything. Now I'll show you something else also. See, this is a Chinese soldier. Can you see the Chinese soldier?
Yeah.
He's turning back and going away. And the man on the other side is the political commissar. I was talking to him. This is the time when somebody came up and he ran away from there. Now here is another slide I'll show you. See this Nehru stone? This is that stone on at Nathula, and that's me standing next to it.
And that is on our side of McMahon line.
Our side of the McMahon line, and if you see it closely over the shoulder of the Nehru stone, you can see a part of the barbed wire.
Part of the
barbed wire.
Okay.
Where you see the snow.
Yeah,
I see the snow line.
Snow.
It's not very clear because those days we didn't have very good cameras actually.
Yeah, no, that's fine. But the point is why I am asking this question.
Yes.
What the British did in 1947, that is not where the Chinese are at this moment. Right
in many
now,
places.
They have moved inside the McMahon line, and they say they don't recognize it. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Okay. Now the second question is, on what basis do they claim these lands?
Now I won't be able to answer you.
Might is right, that is a separate thing. But otherwise, the Chinese say that we have every right to this area because of such and such treaty.
Are you referring? Are you referring to Arunachal?
Excuse me?
Are you referring to Arunachal or to Galwan or to Aksai Chin?
Yeah, I'm familiar with the names. Not that I have gone there. I'm in America. But I'm a historian. As a historian, I wanted to check these points first.
Okay, madam. Now it's like this, Kamleshi. The occupation by the Chinese prior to a particular time when they honored the McMahon line was along the watershed, as I said. Now, let's say, take for example, Nathula. Nathula today is a tourist spot now. There's no question of any dispute there anymore now. So far, they're crossing over. Tourists are going there. There's a lot of bonhomie. Now, as far as the McMahon line and the other places in eastern Ladakh are concerned, there are a lot of disputes. There are some 6-7 points there along the Pangong Lake and other places. Politically, it is going on. And you are also aware of that, I'm sure. That you must have heard about the Galwan incident. And so, you see, these are all political reasons why they are extending their feet further and further. It happened in the political history of India. The political leadership had compromised a lot. As you might be aware, are you aware of the compromise by our previous political leaders?
Mm-hmm.
Are you aware?
I am aware of that. I have written about that. And the various star was given.
Hello?
How
can you hear me?
I went there. And
Madam,
what
can you hear me?
You
Hello?
broke up, sir, for a moment, but yes, we can hear
you.
Yeah, I'm aware of that. My point is this, that
Himanshu is
McMahon line is gone.
I can't hear her.
Yeah, no,
yes.
I think there's... Go ahead, sir.
Yes, go ahead, please.
I was saying that McMahon line is no longer the line between China and demarcating our side or their side,
yes,
right?
Yes.
Is that correct?
At many places. At many places.
And
yes.
The current map is in the archives of the parliament or
yes.
with the military. Current map, where the incursions have happened.
Yes.
Okay. So
what happens? Have you finished? Have you finished? Shall I say something?
Yes.
You see, what has happened is that
what happened?
China does not honor this McMahon line. They do not honor the McMahon line. They claim, and every day they are publishing a new map. You are aware of that. Every day they are publishing a new map showing various parts of India as part of China. So the question of McMahon line and the Chinese policy is a different ballgame altogether. Their expansionism, if I may use the word, policy is to expand in every direction by publishing maps and claiming land. And you see, the trend has been set that they claimed a certain amount of land, it was given to them, as I am told. So this is the thing. What next would you like to know?
So, your experience, do you think that we can retrieve as far as our own geographical map is concerned? We can show.
You see, this is a very political question. I won't be able to answer that. Sorry.
No, the point is that if we show it hypothetically from the military point of view, would that be acceptable for the military?
I put it this way, that certain amount of territory which has already been acceded to them by, if I may use the word now, Nehru. Okay, you are aware of that. After the 62 Chinese war, a lot of territory was acceded to China.
Exactly.
I doubt very much if we can even politically get it back.
Mm-hmm.
Militarily, do we have the will to do it? That is the question. Need to do it, but is there a will? My question is...
Sir, and ma'am, I'll have to interject now. Thank you again for the questions, ma'am. And sir, I'm sorry interrupting you, but we are at the top of the hour now. So last minute, in case there is any other question from anyone, otherwise we'll have to wind up. We are
wonderful.
We run short of the time now.
Okay.
So I'll just give a pause for a couple seconds, and if not, thank you so much, sir. Haven't seen any other question. So thank you so much, sir, for the wonderful narration of your experiences. Certainly very enthusing and very lively. Didn't make it any theoretical. So certainly very helpful to shape even the military perspective, at least. With that, we'll say thank you to all the participants as well, and for joining today. We hope to have the next session with another guest of the same stature, and we hope to see you there then. Thank you, everyone. Jai Hind,
very much.
namaste,
Thank you very much, Himanshu, for having me over. It was a pleasure talking to you all, and I wish there were many more people who would ask some tricky questions. Thank you very much,
sir.
and Jai Hind.
Jai Hind.